All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and continue with Standard 12A. Right now, we are going to talk about Hitler's Lightning War. So let's set the stage. So, after using a policy of appeasement when Hitler attacked the Rhineland, Austria, and Czechoslovakia, the European powers took a different route when he demanded the return of the Polish corridor to Germany from Poland. So Germany sparks a new war in Europe. In 1939, Hitler and Stalin signed a non-aggression pact through which Germany and the USSR made a secret pact to divide Poland between them. They also agreed under the pact that the USSR would get control over Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Shortly after the pact was signed, Hitler invades Poland on September 1st, 1939. So Hitler's going to do this behind Stalin's back. It's like a friend who stabs a knife in your back. He's going to do this after signing a non-aggression pact. He is going to aggressively take over Poland. And he's going to do so in what's called a blitzkrieg. The invasion was the first test of Germany's newest military strategy, a blitzkrieg, which essentially means lightning war. Blitzkrieg is going to involve using fast-moving airplanes and tanks, followed by massive infantry forces to take the enemy defenders by surprise and quickly overwhelm them. So if you think of like a lightning bolt, it happens really quick, it's fierce, it's fast, it's explosive. And that's exactly what a blitzkrieg is. Also, if you think about it in football terms, when you have players on the opposing team blitz your quarterback, what is it they're doing? They are quickly trying to get to the football, to get to the quarterback before the quarterback really knows what's going on, and overtake the quarterback, try to get that ball, try to get an interception. Boom. Okay, that's a blitz. Poland was easily conquered by using this blitzkrieg strategy. So the Soviets, they're going to make their move. On September 17th, 1939, Stalin is going to send troops to occupy the eastern half of Poland, which would have been their half of Poland during this non-aggression pact that they signed with Hitler before Hitler decided to stab Stalin in the back and take Poland over. Stalin then quickly moved to annex countries to the north. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania quickly fell to the Soviets. They're going to be taken over by the Soviets. Finland put up a valiant fight, but in the end they could not defeat the Soviets, and they're going to surrender in March of 1940. So now, here we go. That's what led us into World War II. So now we're going to have the Allied versus the Axis powers. After the invasion of Poland, the Allies began to declare war and organize against Germany. So the world would again be divided into two groups, the Allied powers and the Axis powers. Allied powers are your countries of Great Britain and France. In 1941, we are going to have the United States and the Soviet Union join in on the Allied power side. For the Axis powers, we're going to have Germany, Japan, and Italy. These are the countries who were very bitter with the outcome of the Treaty of Versailles, who felt like they were mistreated with the war reparations or the little bit of land that they did gain being on the winning side. They're bitter and they are ready to begin another war. So, the fall of France. In May of 1940, Hitler began a dramatic sweep through the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. Hitler was getting set up to attack France. By distracting the Allies on the northern coast of Europe, Hitler was able to march a large force into France through a heavily wooded area in Luxembourg and Belgium. Once they were in France, Hitler is going to use the blitzkrieg strategy, and he is going to sweep across France in only 10 days. Crazy fast. The rescue at Dunkirk. So after sweeping through France, the Germans trapped the Allies on a beach in the northern part of France outside of a town called Dunkirk. The British Army set out to rescue the trapped army. Great Britain is going to send 850 ships to rescue more than 338,000 battle-weary troops. And they're going to send these ships between May 26th and June 4th of 1940. France falls. So following the Dunkirk resistance in France began to crumble. By June 14th, 1940, the Germans had taken Paris. By June 22nd, 1940, the French leaders surrendered and Germany has control of France. After the fall, the French president, Charles de Gaulle, he's going to set up a government in exile in London, from which he's going to broadcast messages to the people of France to not give up and to join him in the fight to defeat the Germans. Now let's talk about the Battle of Britain. With the fall of France, Great Britain is going to stand alone against the Nazis, because this is at the time where the Allied powers were just France and Great Britain. This is before the Soviet Union joins and before the United States joins. So it's just France and Great Britain. Winston Churchill, he's the new Prime Minister of Great Britain. He had already declared in a speech that Great Britain would never give up. Hitler's plan for invasion was to knock out the Royal Air Force and then land 250,000 troops on England's shores. Hitler knew the only way he could conquer Great Britain was to have air supremacy over the English Channel. In the summer of 1940, the German Luftwaffe, which is their air force, they began to bomb Great Britain. Initially, they had started bombing airfields and aircraft factories, but they quickly realized that this had very little effect on the British morale, so the Germans are going to turn their focus to bombing the cities. On September 7th, 1940, the bombing of cities began with a major focus on London. Great Britain protected itself by using radar and a decoding machine to predict when and where the German attacks were going to happen. So finally on May 10th, 1941, Hitler's going to stop the bombings and he's going to focus on the eastern part of Europe. So what is he going to do? He's going to invade the Soviet Union. So once Hitler controlled much of the Mediterranean area, which included the Balkans, he decided to move on to the USSR. Operation Barbarossa began on June 22nd, 1941, when Hitler's blitzkrieg descended on an unprepared Soviet Union. The invasion rolled on for weeks, and the Germans were able to cover over 500 miles with little resistance. But as the Soviets retreated, they're going to use that scorched earth policy, during which they burned and destroyed everything in the enemy's path. So the Soviets successfully used this same tactic against Napoleon when Napoleon and the French decided to attack Russia. What the Russians did for Napoleon is they retreated farther and farther into Russia during the winter time, and France and Napoleon's troops were not prepared for the bitter cold Russian winters, and a lot of the troops died of starvation, of frostbite, and because of the scorched earth policy that the Russians had done, there was no shelter,